Hey guys, Danny Bolton, the Boar Man, is on the podcast this week. This conversation comes right off the back end of Winterstrong, which is an event presented by Sorinex Outdoors and Bert Soren. It is a group of avid outdoorsmen, strength and conditioning guys, usually guys who do all of that, coaches, and just a bunch of guys who get together once a year to share in really intense fellowship, competition, learn from each other, put their egos aside, and really just fill each other up so that they can go back out into their individual spaces and bring a ton of value to the people they're around. That was the backdrop to our conversation. We talked about some of the stuff Danny's talked about in podcasts before, how he got to where he is in the outdoor space, as an influencer, if you like that word, but mostly, as someone who represents a number of different high quality brands, and how he's grown through his time doing that in terms of his integrity, his unwillingness to compromise what he believes in terms of his role as an entrepreneur, but also as a husband and a father. So just a really cool conversation around some of his neat experiences, which are really, really unique, and how those things have impacted his life. So I know you're going to really enjoy this. If you're listening or watching this on Spotify, listening on Apple, please follow the show and give it a rating. That helps a ton. Over on YouTube, give it a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Appreciate that. Thank you, as always, for giving your time. I know you've got choices in what you listen to, so it means a lot to me. Enjoy the podcast with Danny. What's up, the Boar Man, dude?
Yeah.
How are you, brother?
I'm good. Cool. It's glad to be in person.
I know. This is cool. I was super stoked that you were able to jump over for this.
Mm-hmm.
We just got done with Winterstrong. Can we talk about that on the air? Is that like a thing?
I think so. Yeah. It's hard because it's like an invite only event, right? So a lot of people, how do I get to that? And it's, I think from the outside perspective, it's confusing a little bit because you have this event that's put on by Sorinex, and it's Bert Soren's brainchild to put on this event. So some people view it as like, here's another company event, like SIG puts on these events, or, whatever, like companies put on events. And it's just so much more than that.
Yeah.
So if you're looking from the outside perspective and you're just seeing that Sorinex is putting on an event and there's like a competition element, yes, but you're missing the huge part of it, is that it really is like family. And that's what makes Sorinex and Bert so special, is this group of humans that he's collected, that when you walk away from there, you can't help but to feel like your cup is filled, and it's not. Bert doesn't have to be the one that filled it.
Yeah.
It's the people that he's collected that can fill your cup and give you, like spiritual strength, mental strength, physical strength. So it was a good weekend, right?
Yeah, it was
it's exhausting.
It was super exhausting. We had 16-degree temperatures. It was like a real winter. Like winter in South Carolina isn't always winter. We've had some of those where it's been short sleeve shirts.
Yes.
This one, we were in our late season gear. I was in bibs, on Saturday. The snow was coming down. It was pretty, like, some of the pictures are epic, dude.
Oh yeah. The pictures for sure, like for content stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I guess it's rare, right? To snow down here. I didn't realize how rare it was.
Maybe every 5 or 6 years we'd get something like that. Maybe. I don't remember. I don't think we've had that much snow for, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years.
Yeah. It was awesome to see.
Yeah. But one of the things that you just talked about, I think so it's my third year there, and I'd be interested to see how you answer this question, because do you know Kevin Estella? So Kevin's writing something about it, right? And he reached out to a few people and said, what's your biggest takeaway? So what's your biggest takeaway? You've been there for the entire, have you been there every time?
The second one.
Okay.
So the first one I think was like 20, 30 people as like a tester. And then I came to cook at the second one. So I've been there every single time after that.
Yeah. And if somebody had never been there, and like you said, from the outside looking in, it's like, oh, it's this cool event. Like, I'd love to be there. But what's it really about? Like,
not just this year. Like all
overall,
of them, for sure.
Yeah, in general, what is somebody like what does the average person think it is? And then once they actually go, what do they realize it is?
Well, for me personally, maybe different for other people.
Yeah.
But I found a place that I felt like I fit in. So a lot of my pursuits feel very individual because I've never played team sports. I've always kind of been a little bit of a loner. And for me, you find this group of people who are chasing similar things, and a lot of them are similar. They're individuals, they're loners, but you find a group of people that you can relate with that struggle through the same things that you struggle with in life, and maybe have struggled through things that you're going through now. Maybe they've been through it 10 years ago and they've found ways to get through it and they have insight on that. So for me, I found a place where I fit in, and people, I felt like I could be understood and I could understand other people, but like me, I felt like I could be understood there. And I mean, to dive deeper into that, I think, and maybe I'm wrong in saying this, that my family, I've expressed some of the things that I want to do in life to my family. And again, maybe they did truly understand it, but I felt like they weren't getting it. Like they just didn't see a value in what I wanted to do, or it just seemed like plain to me. Like to them.
When you say your family, do you mean like
my
wife
mom
and my kids,
no,
or do you mean more like outside, like your mom,
my mom,
cousins,
dad, my sisters, just like even friends, it just sounds like play, the stuff that I do, right? I do like some cool stuff.
Yeah.
But I always try to find a way to make it work all around, right? Like I got to make money at stuff. So like before I've made money other ways and did that for fun, but like here you're around so many likely minded people that are chasing something similar, but not the same. And you can learn from all those people. And so I just felt like a little bit of a belonging, a little bit of a bad, not the best of words, but like validation, of like what I'm pursuing is not that far fetched.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So a lot of it was just, like finding a belonging and then going home with that feeling of belonging, and then knowing that I have people now in my corner who I can call on for advice or to talk through some stuff or just to be listened to. That was my biggest takeaway. I think.
Are some of your deeper friendships, have they come from there? Like, have you developed friendships that really have gotten super deep, that brought something really special to your life from there?
Yeah, of course. And I'm blessed, and I poured a lot of it. Relationships take a lot of time.
Yeah. You have to cultivate them.
You have to cultivate them. And I have some childhood friends, and I have some, other friends where I have a solid group of friends. Like I technically don't need any more friends. Like as bad as that sounds. And I'm very much like, it's weird because at Winterstrong, it's like hundreds of people and you're friends with them all. And I love all those people. But I am one of those people, like I'm okay being alone a little bit and then having 3-4 friends, close friends that I can just like pour everything into, and they know all my failures and everything, and they know who I am. But yeah, there is a lot of people there that you can't help but to pour yourself into, and you can feel it in return.
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, there is a lot of close friends that I get from there, and where I don't need to talk to them every day. And if I need something, I know I can call them and ask them for advice or ask them for a favor.
Yeah. That's one of those things that I've kind of figured out from that community is, like you said, they're all pursuing these really high achieving goals that are all it's their own thing, right? They'll have a different reason for doing what they're doing. But I've never reached out to somebody that I've met there, that I've gotten to know and asked for advice or whatever and had them blow me off.
Yeah.
People really do care about pouring into each other. And what you had said before about close friends, I think it's hard to have more than like 4 or 5 real deep friendships where you actually people know not just the part about you that you want them to know, right? But the part about you that they need to know to help you grow.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
the part that's hard to share.
Yeah, and you have to be careful who you let in because you let in people that you regret letting them in. You know, you told them some things that you can never get back, and now they know that about you. You know, they know your insecurities,
and then they turn it to be
and they can
turn out to be not the person.
Yeah, and they can take advantage of it. And like that's the biggest thing too is like there's so many good people there, and you really have to put yourself in check and like, okay, how do I make sure that I'm not taking advantage of these people? You know, and make sure I'm not taking advantage of Bert for letting me come. So like, how do I pour back into that community?
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to come and everybody is very open and giving. Everybody's super giving. And it's like, okay, how do I give back to this community and not take more than I'm supposed to and really make sure I'm doing my part to give back to all these people?
Yeah, so. I agree. I think that's the biggest lesson that I learned, I think, after the first year. Because when you go there, I think the challenge, this is kind of how I answered the question to Kevin, was when you first get there, you're around all these super high achieving people. And the natural tendency for me in a situation like that is to feel like I have to elevate myself in their eyes, right? And I had to really kind of fight back against that and recognize that they have a ton more to offer me than I probably have to offer them. And to shut up and be like the quiet guy in the room and listen, and then look for ways to give back. Like you said, like I think I had just literally been there for 10 minutes and 3 guys pulled in, had never been there before. It was the Valor guys, the guys that gave all the meat, right? I didn't know who they were at the time. But I was like, hey, have you been here before? And they're like, no. And I spent the next like 2 hours with them, just walking them around and showing them everything. And they were like, I can't believe you just did that. And I'm like, somebody did it for me.
Yeah.
You know? So just being like that with each other, you know, it's a pretty unique deal. I mean, being around you there, like I've gotten to know you a little bit better every year, but obviously you've got a ton of people, like everyone's coming at you, and plus you're contributing your time there. It kind of hit me like, I mean, you've done so much stuff between your outdoor stuff, your training, like your spear fishing, like I can just run the laundry list. But they're not really about the things themselves. Like, what do you think that all of that stuff represents? Like, you kind of chase all those different things. What are you really chasing when you're doing that?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's 2 ways to look at it. I'm basically chasing what like a drug addict looks for. You know, they got a taste of an adrenaline junkie lifestyle like me from a young age, riding motorcycles and skateboarding. And that feeling you get, the chemicals that go through your brain to make you feel that way.
Yeah.
I'm chasing that, you know, like I get that spearfishing, I get that hunting. So that's like the real, I don't know, maybe selfish side of looking at it. But I think honestly, the way I try to make myself okay with it is that I think I was put on this earth to, one, try to elevate other people and show what's possible. And then also be a hunter and gather, like maybe not, like I'm not picking berries, even though I love picking berries. Dude, I spent more time picking blueberries on this last hunt in Alaska than I did actually hunting. So
my mom used to make us pick blueberries when we were kids, take us to the blueberry patch the entire day. We had to fill like a certain amount of, we had a bucket quota.
Yeah. They're so good.
They are so good.
Yeah. And so I feel my sense of purpose when I started hunting. It filled the adrenaline junkie side of me, but I came home, I fed my family, and like that feeling and that sense of purpose made me feel whole. And so I think that I really, you know, like some of us were put on this earth certain things. And we live in a weird society now, a modern society where my skills are not needed anymore.
When you say they're not needed, you mean just because you can buy things from the store?
Yep.
Right. They may not be needed, but I think they are looked at with much more reverence than they used to be because so few people have them.
I would agree in some way, but I would say that if I had a teepee with my family in it and they're waiting for me to get back or they were going to starve to death.
Yeah.
I feel like that pressure and that appreciation for what my skills are is what this society's missing a little bit. And, right, we just have it really easy. And so, when you ask like what I'm chasing, I think I'm just chasing that feeling of what is my purpose and how can I take with what God gave me and what I'm good at. Cause I'm good at what I do. If you put me with any weapon or if you just put me outside and tell me go get food, I'm going to figure it out. That's not trying to be cocky, but that's just the reality of it. And I have something naturally in me that others don't. I don't know what it is. I don't know why I was blessed with it, but.
Have you been like that your whole life? Like I know you started bow hunting in 2014, but you were fishing and doing lots of other things. You were rifle hunting before that. Like has your whole life, have you been able to go do that? Or was there a certain part in your life where it was like that, like a switch went on and you're like, this is something I need to be able to do. It's always going to be a part of my life.
Yeah. Like I've always been a quick learner. I get really, I deep dive, I dive deep into my passions. So if I'm passionate about something, I really dive in deep and it's all I think about. And I can.
To a detriment sometimes?
Yeah, for sure. Because I'll just neglect other things that I need to be focused on because I can't stop thinking about this one thing.
It's funny. My wife like says the same thing about me. Like I don't neglect work, but she'll say, can you think about anything else right now? And I'm kind of like, no. Like I hate to say that, but I'm like, not really. Like that's the only thing that's going through my head right now.
Yep.
Like all I can think about is like, how do I pick this piece of woods apart, or how do I, and I haven't grown up like that. That hasn't been my life. But since I've learned that it's there, and since I've learned how hard it is, and like you said, I get this sense of fulfillment from, like I've got an elk in the freezer, right? I've got deer in the freezer. Like that's something I've never done in my life before. And I feel like this huge sense of personal growth by being able to do that.
Yeah. It's like, that's what we're meant to do.
Yeah.
It's like our purpose.
So what do you find that you're like, when you get to that point, where do you find that you neglect the most?
Everything.
Family too?
Like, yeah.
So you're like to the point where your family gets neglected?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's easy for me just to not even see it because in my own head, I'm just like, so, I'm just like sitting there. I could be sitting there at dinner and even though I'm present with them, my brain is wandering about something else. And I've made my family like a priority and then really tried to pour into them.
Yeah.
My immediate family, my wife and daughter, but yeah, 100%. Like they definitely, I'm sure there's times where I'm just like space cadet thinking about something else, and, I look at it as like, it's better than me being on drugs or like, but it is very similar to what I see other people who have addictions.
Yeah. I mean, I think we can have different kinds, right? But so when you look back, like at your life now, do you see a pattern in your younger self that you're like, okay, I'm trying to correct that, right? Like some of that was really good for me, but some of it wasn't. Are there patterns that you see that you're trying to kind of stave off now?
For sure. So like I cheated my way through school, any way I could. Cheat on book essays or, like write the answers on my hand. It's just, I wasn't into it. I never saw a need to know all these things. So I just like cheated my way through school.
Did you go to college, or you were through high school?
High school,
yeah,
and even just younger than that. But
and you didn't even chat GPT. Like, you had to get creative.
Yeah, for sure. You had to like look at other people's things or write notes, and then, but where I was going with that is I have friends that did all their homework and were engaged and did their projects early, whereas mine were last minute. And that discipline that it takes to do that, I didn't have that. And I was never pressured, I don't think, from a parental standpoint to be like that, even though my parents, I take full responsibility for it. But looking at my daughter now, maybe my daughter's not the best example. She's so smart and just like gets it.
Yeah.
But maybe that comes from a little bit of us as parents, pushing it. And I'm the worst because I really still don't really care that much, but my wife cares a lot more about it. And I see the discipline that it creates.
Yeah.
So looking back at my past, my one friend was super good at being disciplined. And now he's a firefighter, and he poured himself into that, and he's about to retire in a couple of years. Full, retirement as a firefighter is decent money, and they deserve it. But I'm looking at myself like, damn, dude, you bounced around, you did all these different things, and you're going to have to keep hustling it, which I don't mind. It's kind of my personality. But that discipline, as you get older and you have a family and you have a kid and you have a mortgage, you need that discipline.
Yeah.
You can't cheat your way through life as you get older. So I wish, even though maybe it wasn't in school, I wish I would have been a little bit better at training my mind to be more disciplined. Because now, as much as I'm trying to be that way and I practice it, it's something that you have to practice, and you have to get your brain to develop this discipline, right? And my brain just wants to bounce all around because I'm 40 years old, but I've gotten to where I've gotten today because of how I am.
Yeah.
So I could keep doing what I'm doing, and I know that I'm going to be fine. Because if I don't make money doing this today, I could go tomorrow and find a job doing something else.
Right.
Because I've done, 10 different careers. So I have no concern over being able to make it doing something else. It's just that, that bouncing around and starting over and something new, you're not stacking blocks in one direction.
Yeah. Does that get emotionally tiring to do that? Or do you just feel more like I'm leaving something on the table because I'm not stacking the blocks? Like I know what I'm doing is fine. I know what I'm doing I really enjoy doing, but I worry a little bit more about what that looks like 20 years from now. Like, which one is the bigger?
The only worry for me is because I have a family now.
Yeah.
Wife and daughter. So if it's just me, then who cares if,
How old's your daughter?
15.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so the last, 15 years or something, it's been a good go. But yeah, there's mental stress. So here's one way to look at it is I was just talking to a friend, this weekend about free diving. And if you carry mental stress and are thinking about things, you're not going to be able to hold your breath as long because your heart rate's elevated and you're using energy. And to hold your breath for a long time, you need to conserve as much energy as possible.
And you can hold your breath for what, 4 minutes?
Yeah. If we just sit here, I could probably do it for 4 minutes.
That's insane to me.
Yeah. I mean, dude,
but
it's funny.
You're training it, right?
Yeah. But it's a funny thing. You're just going to pass out, nothing's going to happen to you. But when you're holding your breath, it feels like the world's going to end.
It does. Yeah.
So you use energy. And when you ask me if I used up energy or it stresses me out, yeah, there's times where in the beginning of the year, because a lot of times I'm figure something else out, but there's times where one chapter of my life is ending and one's starting, or I'm trying to redo what I'm doing. I'm okay, if I take this direction, I take a lot of time to do this, right? I'm gonna have to commit a lot of time to this work. but also where's my money going to come from to pay for food? So the stress of like, okay, I don't have any money coming in planned for this year. And that stress of that, I've gotten strangely comfortable in that world, but it still comes with a huge amount of stress.
And is that because most of what you're doing from an earning standpoint comes from project-based work with different companies and stuff like that right now?
Yeah, right now.
So it's always kind of something you're redoing or renegotiating, or somebody's like, work this project, but that project's not there anymore. Is that basically how that works?
Yeah. And it's the same as when I would do these tours for different automotive manufacturers. So like the first real job I had on my own, because I worked for my family doing construction stuff when I was younger, coffee stuff, like throughout teenage years, you know, just like my dad, like, hey, go run this piece of equipment on this job. It's going to take you 2 weeks. So cool, whatever, go do it. Just get paid hourly. It didn't really matter to me. Again, it did matter getting paid, but I just didn't have to think too much about it, right?
Yeah.
So I've always worked. But then at high school, I started doing these tours for these different automotive manufacturers, whether we're building tracks or promoting the vehicles or training their sales staff.
You started that like VW, right? They came to Hawaii and they kind of were trying to test out the Touareg, and you set up a course, and that kind of turned into a thing that you started doing for other people all over the country.
All over the country. Yeah. And, you know.
And how old were you?
I was 18. Well, no, I built
cool
that.
Though, dude.
We built that course when I was like 16.
Yeah. But I mean, the fact that at 18 years old, you're getting hired by companies to go do that had to feel like kind of like you're a rock star on tour a little bit, huh?
Yeah. So like the first job we did was 6 months on the road for Lexus. And I went to every big city in the US. And I was with a team. You know, it's not just me. We're with a huge team, production team. Right. There was probably 40 other people who I was helping build these things with, amongst the hundreds of people doing the tents and the food and the catering. But like us drivers, I worked with people who were race car drivers, worked at Skip Barber, worked at all the racing schools. Yeah. And they had all this knowledge. And here's me coming from Hawaii with like a little bit of, you know, exposure to really who they were or what they're doing, but really had to learn. And then I was the youngest one there. Yeah. You know, everybody else is in their 30s, 40s. I'm 18, 19 years old. So I'm learning from all these people, and they're having fun too. They're on the road, and they're, you know, like, which is cool because they're still want to be kids. You know, we could go kart tracks and they'd go drink and stuff. And like I snuck into a few bars with them, but you're on the road just living this, you know, touring life. But that, to go back to what we're talking about, that work is spotty. Yeah. Right?
It happens and then it's over.
You make a bunch of money. You work a bunch of days because every single day you're making money, and you're making money on the weekends, and you're making money on the days you travel. And at that time of my life, I didn't have a home base. So I wasn't paying rent. And, you know, they'd serve us sandwiches at work, and we'd get per diem. I would take a sandwich home and I'd eat it at dinner. And then my $50 worth of per diem, I was keeping all that.
You probably felt like you were rolling in it.
Oh yeah. Right? So I was like stacking.
You're like, oh my gosh, I'm loaded.
Yeah. I'm stacking cash and like nowhere to spend it. So, but, you know, I've done that work since then, and I've solely relied on that for income. And there's days where you're like, cool, I got this 1 month worth of work lined up. But after that, for the next 12 months, I have nothing. And you're just hoping you get the phone call. And your family's relying on that. Yeah. And so there's a stress that comes with that not a lot of people want to live with. And I've also worked the other route of where you have a full-time job, you have insurance, you know, where, you know, every day, if you just show up Monday through Friday and you're not late, then you have a job. Yeah. And there's a piece to that. And some people,
there's a trade-off with that.
There's a trade-off to it for sure. You know, you're actually gone away from home a lot more than you think, because I did the calculations. I've sat down and when I was working full-time construction, right when my daughter was born. And maybe that was the pressure of like, yeah, I better get a real job. Like I have a about to bring a baby into this life, Well, those couple years flew by because it was routine. Go to work, work all day, come home, spend a little bit of time with my daughter, go to sleep, and you're pretty exhausted after working construction. So then the amount of time of quality time you actually spend with, your loved ones, you can definitely do it right. You can get home and be there with them. And like, I'm not trying to dog on anybody with a full-time job because I've been there, and and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing wrong. And I actually have steered a lot of people in that direction because they see what I do and they're like, wow, that's so cool. And I was like, don't underestimate how good a job is when your insurance is paid for and you have paid vacation and for the next year what you're doing. And you have especially if you have a supervisor, like a good boss that you're working for, and they're doing a lot of the mental work for you. That is like having to do the work on your own, like mentally come up with all the plan and what you're doing and controlling a team. That's hard work. That's a lot of mental effort.
Yeah. So that was one of the things I was going to ask you, right? So, like, you've done so much. A lot of the stuff that you've done is not just physically demanding, but it's super mentally challenging. And there's a lot of discomfort in there, right? Whether it's backcountry hunting or whether it's the free diving or whatever. What do you think you learn from the discomfort that you can't learn from the comfort that some people have, right? So you said you kind of have this stress of not knowing that you've learned to be comfortable with or kind of okay with. How did you get there? Like, what does the discomfort teach you?
So I would say that the simple answer to that is you build up a tolerance for it. And you see people that don't have that tolerance, like this weekend. You see people put stress on them during the competition.
Yeah.
And you don't have that tolerance built up and you crack. So
did you see some people crack?
I've seen some cracks.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
How did they respond?
Well, you have two ways to look at it. And this is in our team competition setting. Here's two things to look at that I want people to think about is that the teams that we build for this competition are much like the teams you build in life.
Yeah.
Because when I did it and I've won that competition twice. I'm the only one who's won it twice. And that's not to toot my own horn because I had an amazing team behind me or with me, not behind me, with me.
Yeah.
And everybody on that team had something that I didn't.
And you knew that when you were picking that.
And I knew my weaknesses. It's right. They say it's more important to know your weaknesses than your strengths. And so you don't see me lifting 400-pound deadlifts. No way. Dude, my deadlift's not even close to that. So you pick your teams appropriately. So in the team setting, like I was going back to, that's much like your life. You need people who are in your corner and, can fill in these gaps that you don't have. When you're shooting as a team captain, you shoot archery in this competition and your team is counting on you to make that shot. And if you miss that shot, which is fine, the shots are hard. Your whole team has to go get that arrow and you have to come back and you have to shoot that shot again. And you do that until you hit that shot. So there's two things that I see. As the team captain, you can get frustrated and you can get down on yourself and start doubting yourself, which is not going to help your accuracy because you need full confidence and you need to feel like you're the shit, like you are the man.
Yeah.
And that's, you need that blind confidence. So you need to uphold that for your team and be like, no, I'm sorry if I miss, but I got this one, even if you don't, you got to keep morale high. On the flip side of that, your team can fall apart and start getting frustrated and not supporting you. And even if you have the blind confidence and they're frustrated and, huffing or making comments or whatever, that's going to take away from your team, like you're trying to build this team captain up as the man and you want him to make this shot. You need to support him even if they miss. Hey, it's all good. This one, you got this one, like breathe, you got this. Like,
yeah.
So that's two things that I see where the good teams that do well have that.
Yeah. And for people listening to this who haven't been there or don't know, but it's basically an event where you end up with somewhere around 11, 12 captains. They pick teams very much like schoolyard. Literally everyone's lined up and they just grab guys. But it's multiple stations with a lot of different events. Some of them are strength correlated. Some are correlated to archery. Some of them might be correlated to survival. It's basically everything, right? And how long does this usually take from start to finish for a team to run the gamut?
The way we ran it this year, it takes about an hour to an hour and a half of just nonstop.
Yeah, and it's not easy. It is a test for sure.
For sure. And you do have to play into the team side of it because you need to support each other.
Yeah.
So like I'll give you all the secrets from when we did it. Is one we talked about before, and I was like very clear to my team that if we don't win, it's really not a big deal. We're there to have fun.
Yeah.
But the morale's got to be high the whole time.
Yeah.
And then we are only as fast as our slowest person. So we are all held back to our slowest person. And that's not to make them feel bad because they're going to have strengths. Maybe that dude is huge and he can deadlift a bunch of pounds, weight.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're, not in the best shape, but they're super smart and they can answer these questions, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. We all ran together. We never left anybody behind. So the slowest one, we all ran that speed.
You didn't make him feel like, or her feel like they were holding you back.
Yeah. So then morale stayed high.
Yep.
But what you maybe don't notice, and this is strength and conditioning, but like your heart rate stays in one zone versus sprinting to the next thing and waiting for somebody, and then your heart rate comes down, and then you're sprinting again. Maybe it never comes down as low as you want it. But if we stay together as a team, then everybody's supporting each other. And that person who's getting held back isn't feeling like they're holding people back. And that's just part of the team effort, So I'd like to see that be implemented in more of that competition, but more in life too, like that's why I was saying earlier, it's so many applications for just our normal life is, we have to all support each other in this team, in this endeavor. So it goes, go to your family, like your wife and daughter, you guys are all on the same team. So how do you all succeed together? How do you support each other and not leave somebody in the dust? Like for me, it's so easy to be like, oh, Danny's doing all this cool stuff. And, maybe, my wife and daughter don't get to travel as much as I do. But how do I make sure I'm pouring into them to make them feel like they're succeeding? And, I'm not perfect. I probably fail at this, but it's just a good example in life that you're a team and you need to be together. You can't just leave people behind and then expect them to catch up.
Hey guys, big thanks to Osseo Gear for supporting the show. Osseo is built specifically for bow hunters. Every stitch, zipper, and fabric choice is made to perform when it's quiet and the pressure's on. Their camo patterns are inspired by nature's predators, and they're purpose-built to ensure you blend naturally into the specific environment you are hunting. Make sure to use the code DONOTGO20 to get 20% off on your purchases at OsseoGear.com. Osseo is made for bow hunters by bow hunters. So give them a check. They're a big supporter of the podcast, and we appreciate them. Great gear. So what's something about, a lot of your endeavors have, and just a lot of the people that we hang out with, right? There's success is a word that gets used a lot, but what has experience taught you about success that you look at differently now than you looked at 20 years ago?
Yeah. Success for me is having a good family and people who love and trust you. And even my friends and family, I want them to feel loved, know that I love them. And I also want to feel valued. I don't want to have to advocate for my own value. And some people do that for you.
That's interesting. So, talk a little bit more about that.
Well, some people you might have to, you might have to be like, well, this is why I feel like you should value me because I do this and this. It's very easy. The easiest way to think about it is in a marriage, you two are both doing two separate things, like one person might be out working, making the money, and one person might be at home, like I'm not trying I'll be careful where I say this, but straight up like, doing dishes and doing the laundry and cleaning the house, So it's very easy to get into like, well, I was doing this, like this is my value. And sometimes you just want people to know that's your value. Like they see that, they appreciate that. They know what you bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
So moving that into like just general life or business, it's like, hey, here's what I bring to the table. And it doesn't happen very often that I feel like people see your true value and what you're capable of. And I'll just use like an example, like Bird. He sees that. He can see what someone's capable of and kind of push them into seeing what they're capable of and wanting to see what that flourishes into and appreciates those people. So yeah, I guess that like, and so when you have that, when you asked about success, that to me is successful because if you don't have that, you have all these people now or like being a man is hard, right? And like we all know that. Well, maybe we don't all know that.
I think if you're self-aware, you know it.
It's a burden to carry, right? Like you carry a lot on your shoulders. And we feel alone a lot, right? Like we have these issues and we have no one to talk to. So like who do we talk to about these issues? Like deep personal issues and neglect or feeling lonely or feeling worthless or don't have a purpose. So you get caught feeling alone. And a lot of times you just don't feel valued, right? Because that's where like that loneliness comes from.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, if I'm successful, I'm not having those feelings.
That's a great answer. Have you ever been around somebody or spent time around somebody that you really saw a lot of value in, and you felt like you were connecting with them, but they didn't see value back in you? And
oh yeah, for sure.
What did you do in that situation?
Well, a lot of times for me, I let the cards play out with best intentions possible. But as soon as I start seeing a few cracks in what I thought was there, but maybe isn't, I'm very much like, if I see something to be true, I base a lot of my decisions off of that. So if a scenario plays out and I feel like either I'm getting taken advantage of or that person did something, I hold them accountable to that. And I give them a chance to maybe their intentions were different than what I saw. But I go back to what my other friend always tells me is, what are your intentions? So everything I do, I ask that. Or things that happen to me, I'm like, what was this person's intention by telling me this? Was it out of just ignorance that they just didn't know the whole story? Or is it out of, are they truly trying to poke the bear right now? Or are they just not seeing it? So I ask myself, like, what are the intentions of everything that I do and other people do? But if I see obvious things and I see a pattern of someone's intentions, then I recognize that pattern. I'm good at that. And I can just be like, okay, I'm going to expect that person to do that again. So I'm just going to, like maybe that's not the best fit or they're not seeing my value. So they're not going to, no matter what I do.
Yeah, that's the one I was kind of
no matter what I do, they're not going to see my value. So it's
not necessarily
okay.
that they're doing anything negative, but more like the second one, that they're not seeing value in you or what you bring forward.
Yeah. So then you just unless so you could be a better salesman and try to tell people how cool you are.
Do you want to sell yourself though?
No.
Right.
So just the same as my other friend, like I look to a lot of my other friends, like I've never been to therapy. I definitely am open to it, but like I've just never been to therapy. But I've dug into some of my other friends more than they know. And that is my therapy. And because the way I see it is 300 years ago, and even further back than that, 1,000 years ago, we didn't have therapists. And I like the idea of therapists because they've studied how the brain works, but we didn't have therapists. We had family and friends and like maybe religion too, right? Like you go to the priest and your confessions, but I like to lean on the people that I know way more than they maybe want, but I lean on them. And my one friend is always saying that anything gained through self-promotion needs to be continued through self-promotion. So if you're having to sell yourself and tell someone how cool you are, you're going to have to keep doing that, or they're never going to see the value in it.
That's interesting. Yeah. I've never heard anybody say that before, but it totally makes sense, And I, obviously I'm just like quickly looking back at stuff, but I think you're right. If I think about times where, I was around somebody or a group of people that I looked up to, or I kind of wanted to be a part of, if I didn't stop, if it wasn't always me doing it, right, it just kind of died.
Yeah.
Right. But when I was younger, I would just push on that because I felt like I really wanted to be around those people or whatever. And now I just kind of, like you said, I look at it, and if it's not, reciprocal, I just kind of recognize that, okay, there's not value in that.
Yeah.
Why am I doing that?
Yeah. It's hard. And like straight, like, I'm kind of talking from a standpoint right now from like the influencer position I'm in.
Yeah.
Right. Like in the hunting space. I don't want to go tell all these companies that they should pay me because I'm so cool. I wish that they were just like, yeah, we love what you do. We see a marketing value there. There's a win-win here. Like it straight up what it is me saying black and white. You don't hear many people talk about it, but like, cool, you're going to pay me this amount of money and I'm going to hopefully sell this much product for you guys, or at least be a part of this brand that makes it, people want to live. This is where my value is. I can show this lifestyle that we live in the outdoors and show the benefits of it and inspire other people to be outdoors. And usually if they want to go do the pursuits that they do, they're going to need the products that I use. They don't need the same bow. They don't need the same knife, but you're going to need a bow and you're going to need a knife to go hunting. So, and that's the lifestyle I live. I love bow hunting. So how is it a win-win? I may not directly sell bows, even though I do, but like, it's not that. I'm selling the lifestyle of what I do. And yeah, you don't want to have to go sell yourself to these companies. You want them to see the value in you.
Do you find yourself having to do that? Or is it frequently come along enough that you don't have to?
You have to.
Yeah, this is part of the game.
But I try to do it in the most honest way I can.
Are they, just, this is pure curiosity, but is there any kind of an evolution, or are there certain brands that are more like, are there certain brands that are looking for, okay, we want to give you this code and we want to see this many sales come off of you, versus certain brands who like look at you more or from a branding perspective and kind of go, we just want to be affiliated with you because of what you stand for?
Yeah. So,
and is there one or the other that you gravitate more towards? Yeah, I would assume it's probably the second one, but
yeah, I mean, it's an easy answer. I've had brands want me to do that whole route.
Yeah.
Of
the first
affiliate codes and posting links and stuff.
You're like, no,
I won't do it. And then I won't work with that company because it's just not, I actually don't have any problem with it. like seeing other people do it. It actually doesn't bother me at all.
Mm-hmm.
Especially that I know the back end of it is like it's a win-win for some of this stuff, because you're clicking on this person's link to get a discount for this product that you're going to use. So it's better than buying it at retail.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say like a supplement. If somebody's like, hey, use my link to get 10% off. Cool. At least you're getting 10% off. And then you're helping your friend out because they're getting kickbacks from this company. And this company is now like, dang, this guy's selling a bunch of supplements. We want to support him. And then if you really go deeper, which is like where I see it too, like I'm friends with a lot of people who work in these companies.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly don't want to work with companies that I don't know the people behind the scenes. If anything I do to help is helping that company make money, and then that company is paying those people their paychecks and feeding their families and getting to live the lifestyle that they want to live, that's a win.
Yeah.
And so I have no hate for the affiliate codes and that things, but I come from an era of growing up as a skateboarder, and skateboarders are pretty ruthless in the fact that you have to be authentic. And when I grew up skateboarding, you didn't wear skate shoes unless you skated, or you were a poser and you got made fun of. And possibly,
I haven't heard that word poser in a long time.
Yeah. So like you might be in fights over it.
Yeah.
So unless you're authentic, there's people that are like willing to physically harm you over it, which I kind of like that, because I know what develops out of that. It makes you be authentic.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think people kind of know that when they look at the industry, when you see somebody who's whatever, repping a different bow or a different this or that, like every 2 or 3 years, right? Versus every once in a while you might make a change, but it's more about like, okay, I believe in the product. This is a product I want to be affiliated with. What do you think? Like, is that a lesson that somehow you teach your kids? Like, how does what you do translate down to like your daughter, right? Or in terms of the way you raise her?
Like in general, or the authentic piece? Just
in general. Like, I mean, the authenticity part piece, I guess, like, is that something you consciously talk to her about? Or is that something you're hoping she's going to see through your actions? I mean, that to me, it's a really big piece of who you are. Like, I think that's just personally, that's one of the things that I kind of feel drawn to in you, that I really like about you, is I don't feel like you're going to tell me anything that I have to wonder if it's true. Right. I feel like you are very clear about who you are and very clear about where you stand and what you stand for and how you live your life. And I think people recognize that in you. So how do you kind of expect your daughter just to see that in you, or how do you raise her with that as, kind of a clear part of what you want her to be?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I've never really thought about that. And it is a quality that I want her to have. So I don't know if subconsciously I've raised her in a way that she has that, because I put a lot of value on it. But, I relate it so much to the activities that I do, because I don't want to be perceived as somebody who's a poser.
Yeah.
And in the running world, it's not really that prevalent. For her, she's a runner. My daughter's a runner.
Oh, like distance,
cross country and track. Yeah. And she crushes it. Broke a bunch of school records her freshman year. She's a sophomore now. She's gonna annihilate people. And I don't ever have to talk to her about being authentic in that world, because she is doing the hard work. That's, I guess, like maybe the authenticity a little bit plays into that, is like, don't worry about anybody else. They don't need to know that you're training at night, coming home, getting in the gym. You don't need to brag at any, just let the work show itself. And if you put in the work and you're in the gym and you're eating right and you're sleeping right, the results will show themselves, So
that's a hard lesson for a 16-year-old to learn. And in the culture that they grow up in right now, where everyone's self-promoting on their social media channels, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you feel like she gets that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because one, she doesn't really have social media.
Is that because of you? Is that you kind of keep her off of it, or
yeah? So
you got a rule on it?
For sure. She has her own social media page, but she is not allowed to be on it all the time.
Gotcha.
And she can put whatever she wants on there.
Mm-hmm.
It's her to manage. But and here's the way I look at that is like, I can't keep her off of that forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be one of those kids like the preacher's daughter who I've sheltered all their life, and then they go to college and they go buck wild.
Yeah, and then you're like, figure it out. Here's all the stuff that you've never seen in your life.
Yeah, or learned how to manage.
Yeah.
So like, how do I expose her to drugs, alcohol, relationships, and Instagram and all these things, social media? How does she get some exposure and learn how to manage it?
Mm-hmm.
So the social media thing.
Yep.
She's has her own Instagram, and it's fun, dude. Social media is awesome. I have amazing relationships now because of social media. I make some money that I, use to support us as a family through social media.
Mm-hmm.
It is an amazing tool if you use it properly. It's just so easy to not use it properly.
To get lost in it and have it like kind of consume you when in a non-productive way. Right.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's a tool. If you can look at it as a tool, then
you can look at it as a tool. And the easiest, the best thing I can say to anybody on it is that go back to being authentic. And it is the easiest way to not be authentic.
Agreed. Yeah.
So, and that's where it's hard for me because we keep our private life pretty private on purpose.
Yeah.
I don't need everybody knowing, everything I do every day and what I do with my family and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not judging anybody else who I am. Like, I do judge other people. I'm like, dude, do you really need to post that about your kids doing this or whatever? Because I just don't see a value in exposing them at such a young age. And I've probably been guilty of it. But what comes with that is people's perception of me as this single dude or this I don't want to say deadbeat dad, but like the people really know me, know how much value I put into being a dad. But if you look on my Instagram, you're like, dude, this guy's always traveling. He's always away from his family. That can't be good. Like he's choosing to be here in South Carolina over being at home with his family. And that perception of me, because I don't care a ton about how people view me. I've kind of always been that way.
Yeah.
Like I'll shave my head a certain way, or I'll wear certain clothes and whatever. Like if people want to judge me, they can, because I know deep down I got what I got going on. Like I'm not confident in myself to know, like, I don't really care what you think, because I know that I can do this,
Yeah.
But that perception of me, it bothers me a little bit sometimes, as people just thinking I'm out just doing all these cool things and neglecting other things, even though part of it may be a little true.
Where do you get that? Like when you say it bothers you, is that it's like just comments people leave on your social media, or where does that actually exhibit itself in your?
I've had people like
just say it to you straight up.
I've had real conversations with people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is fine, because they're like, oh, my friend's wife recently, and like we had them up for dinner and their 2 kids, and like hanging out with their 2 kids and playing with them, and then they get to see my home life. And his wife is like, man, when I first started seeing you on Instagram, I didn't know you even had a family. Well, good, because I don't need you knowing I have a family, like the creepers online and stuff. But yeah, but it is, just being authentic. I think just going back to being authentic to who you are. You can't lose. You may not be winning. The people that I see winning on social media a lot of times, they're not authentic. Some people are. And like I can really appreciate those people, but some people aren't.
Yeah. I agree with you. I mean, to piggyback on that, whether it's social media or not, right? I mean, you've been given, some pretty amazing opportunities to do things in life, right? Through all these different pursuits you have, and then now through a lot of these affiliations with brands that put you in position to do some really neat stuff. Anything, whether it's Meat Eater or Sorinex or whatever. What kind of responsibility do you think comes with that?
Yeah, just being true to yourself and making sure you're representing. That's the other thing is like, I don't want to, I want to be me. I don't want to worry about someone perceiving me as like, oh, he's this bow hunter guy, or he's just, this or that. I don't like people putting labels on me.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that happens a lot?
Yeah, for sure. Well, no.
What's the label that you think most people put on you?
Well, maybe it's because I'm weird in my own head. But what I don't like is like, let's take, for instance, I just started running, really, like never ran in my life.
Okay. Like you're doing it as like a thing. Like, are you trying to do ultras or when you just running to run?
My daughter's a runner.
So you just doing it to kind of.
Yeah. She started running and I like, cool, I'll start running with you.
Gotcha.
And so, but then I set my own goals and I want to, I can't just do stuff just to do it. Right. I gotta be like, well, I gotta get better at this. So I set my own goals. So I've been running for like a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll post about running. Listen, I don't know nothing about running. Never been coached on how to run. None of that. Don't even have runner programming, nothing. I just run. But people will be like, this is where say people putting labels on you, but in a weird way. And it's same with like bowhunting. Like, oh, this guy thinks he's a runner now.
Because you're posting about running.
Yep.
That you think you're a runner.
Yep. And it's the same with bow hunting, right? When I first started bow hunting, dude, that's all I wanted to do. And I did it. And I've done some really cool stuff with bow hunting. But people are like, oh, this guy thinks he's a bow hunter when I've been doing it all my life.
Yeah.
I've been doing it since I was a kid. My dad taught me. Dude, like, I wish my dad taught me how to bow hunt and went with me.
Me too. Yeah.
So that's where I mean, like people putting labels on you. And I don't know where I was going with that. I forget the question that you asked before that.
No, you answered it. It was the responsibility that comes up with the opportunities you got.
Well, I will say this. Okay. So then, there's more to this.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm perceived as a bow hunter, I can't control that.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Like I'm on Meat Eater and I'm the hunter guy.
Mm-hmm.
There's a responsibility with that.
Yeah.
Because I can't just be the free-spirited Danny that I am. I can't be, but I want to show hunting in a good light. And I have to respect what the culture is. Because people like, dude, I don't know all these legendary hunters because I didn't grow up watching them and they weren't my idols.
Yep. Same.
They weren't my idols. Mm-hmm. I didn't grow up knowing these people as these idols. And so I learned on my own, and I don't have idols really in the bow hunting space because I had to learn a lot of things the hard way. Mm-hmm. There is a few people I looked up to, but where I was going with this is that this is a perfect example. We hunted Catalina Island.
Yeah, I saw that. That was cool.
So that was
like a Meat Eater thing, right?
No, we did it on our own.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay,
yep.
Yeah.
So Catalina Island off of California. Deer? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Catalina Island off of California. They have mule deer that was introduced there, and they are talking about eradicating them off the island because they eat the vegetation and this and that. So I heard that, and I'm like, well, I mean, first of all, it's like, dude, I got to go deer hunt on this island. That's so rad. But if they eradicate them, they're going to do it with helicopters and stuff. And I see that in Hawaii. And even though they do salvage some of the meat in Hawaii, you can't get a clean shot when you're in a helicopter. Mm-hmm. You might be blowing back legs off or blowing shoulders up or whatever. You're going to be wasting some meat. And then they haul it out and get it to people. But it's not like me making one precision shot.
Yeah.
And going and cleaning every bit of meat off of it right there when it's fresh. Mm-hmm. And then using all that meat. So we hunted Catalina, and there's a big debate right now going on howl.org or something. I don't know. My friend Charles, he's a part of a nonprofit that like fights these things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm real in tune with what he's got going on because he's putting in the hard work on fighting it. I'm not, like we just went and hunted there, but I really wanted to show that hunters are capable of not only getting a deer, but being responsible with what they do after the deer, after you get a deer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just about a trophy. Most people view hunting as we're killers, we're trophy hunters. Yeah. And when you go there and you just shoot a doe and you use every little bit of that meat, we took everything, the tongue, the heart, the liver, all the meat, cut the ribs. So that responsibility is on me to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I don't show that level of responsibility as a hunter, I may give somebody the wrong view of what a hunter is. And then I ruin it for everybody else. So if I'm this guy who just goes out there and disrespects animals or just about the hunting or even just about the adrenaline side of it, and I don't show what a real hunter is, in my opinion, it's only based off my opinion, but we go out there, it is exciting to go hunting, but you practice all that time to go make an ethical shot, to give one to get meat, and then that animal to give them the best. This may sound crazy to some people, but the most ethical way to kill them as possible. So whether they're, and this argument's kind of been beat to death, but if I slice one with an arrow right through both lungs and I see it full, huge bull elk fall over in 10 seconds, that's the perfect one. That's the most perfect situation I've been in, where I have a bull that I shot and 10 seconds later he's down and out of breath. That's a lot better than a mountain lion chewing on that thing when he's old, or a bear or a wolf getting a hold of him and eating them when they're still alive.
Those people don't think about that though, right? They think, when they think of them dying of old age, they think they're going to die of old age and just kind of like lay down and fall asleep at some point.
They're going to freeze to death.
They're going to die a terrible death.
They're going to freeze to death or starve to death in their best case scenario, or they're going to get eaten, possibly alive, which that's nature. Nature's brutal. So we train, right, to be the best hunters we can be. We go, we hunt, we appreciate nature. I'm more about being in nature than just the hunt.
Yeah, me too.
We get all the meat. We make sure we eat all the meat and we share it with friends and family and make sure like it goes, it gets used.
Is there something that you've taken away from bow hunting that you didn't get from any of the other pursuits that you took on before? Because the average person would look and go, okay, he just does a lot of stuff that's kind of filled with adrenaline and it's very adventurous and whatever. But is there anything, is there a difference in bow hunting? Is there something different there?
Yeah, two things. One, because surfing, you could say, is a lot relied on nature. So you have to be in tune with nature.
Okay.
The best surfers that I know can read the ocean really well.
Mm-hmm.
You can see a swell coming and you know where to be in the lineup to be able to get that.
Okay.
Or you can feel the ocean dropping off the reef a little bit and you know where to be.
Mm-hmm.
So surfers are very in tune with nature. And I feel like the same is very much in play when you're bow hunting. You have to be very in tune with nature. You have to know where the wind's blowing. You have to know what the animals are doing, their behavior. Is the tail wagging? Is their ears back? Is their head down? How are they, looking? Are they nervous? Are they comfortable eating? So all these things play into hunting, and you have to be so in tune with all those things if you want to be a good bow hunter. If you're not a good bow hunter, you're never going to get into those situations if you can't read all those things that nature's giving you. So I would say that's one thing that bow hunting gives me, other than like surfing, I said, can also kind of give you that. And then just the gathering aspect of it, of getting meat. I'm not getting meat when I go skateboarding and get food.
Did you rifle hunt much before you started bow hunting?
So I never shot animal. Like I shot a turkey with a shotgun when I was young. I don't know, 12, 13.
Okay.
Shot a couple turkeys. I never shot anything. No.
So 2014 was really when you started hunting in general.
Yep. Got a bow. Shot my first pig probably somewhere in 2015.
And you just taught yourself how to gut them and take the meat and everything.
Dude,
or did somebody teach you that, or did you trial and error that?
Trial and error.
Yeah.
Yep. Take this hide off first, and then you're like, cool, there's some guts in here. I guess I got to take some of these out. And you dig in there and you're like, well, there's more in here.
Yeah.
So I got to take these ones out too. And you're like, we follow this. And you're like, well, here, this one's going to his butthole. So like, just take this one out, So like, it's very simple if you're okay getting your hands dirty.
Yeah.
And I remember shooting the first sheep that I shot, which was really the first like big game animal. I shot pigs, but like when I shot that sheep.
You shot that sheep before you shot a deer or anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember getting it. I can't remember if I gutted it or not, but looking at all the different muscle groups, because pigs, it's very easy to take the whole quarters off, but sheep, you're seeing these different muscle groups.
Okay.
And so I methodically just sat there and picked apart every muscle group in that back leg and deboned the back leg in the field. And like, cool, I'm going to pull these two muscles apart and slowly work this fascia away and like this, cut this tendon. Boom, I got this whole round, and I'm like, wow, there's a nice chunk of meat. Put that in the bag. I don't do that anymore because it's cleaner to take the whole quarter.
Yeah, but that's what you're basically just trying to educate yourself by doing it that way.
Yeah, you just look at it and you're like, well, here's a muscle and here's a muscle. I'm going to separate these two muscles and then I'm going to cut them as clean off the bone as I can. And so anybody
boned it in the field.
Anybody who's looking at getting into hunting, it's not as complicated as you might feel it is. And really, if you're by yourself, it'd be amazing if you could have a mentor be there with you.
Yeah.
But sometimes what happens is you watch the mentor and you forget half the stuff that they did, or you feel intimidated by them watching you and you're worried about making mistakes. And that might just be my personality. Whereas I do better because I've always been forced to learn things on my own. Whereas maybe that's developed. Maybe I was born like that. I'm not sure. I do better on my own to where I know nobody's watching me. Nobody's going to be bothered if I make a mistake or not. And I can take my time and just pick it apart one by one.
Yeah.
But that's a flaw that I have because I have a hard time being coached or taught something. So
I had the opposite experience. Like I had people who were willing to share advice, but like you said, a lot of guys that are in this are kind of loners by nature. And so there's not a lot of guys that are going to take you into their spot or whatever, especially it might be different out west where there's so much public land, but out east, it's like people are hunting a lot of private land. They kind of have their own spots and it's like, they'll give you a lot of advice, but it's not like they're taking you hunting, as an older person with their kid. Yeah. So I got lots of advice from people and then just, went out and started figuring it out.
It's hard hunting. Like you don't want to blow up all your spots,
No.
And like we're saying earlier, like you let people into your life and you show them things
and you
regret it later.
Yeah. And so if somebody's had a bad experience, they're going to be guarded with you.
You show somebody your hunting spot, your relationship falls apart later. And then you're like, dang, I really wish I didn't show that person this spot that, I've spent years to get. And those, there's certain people that I would never hunt anywhere near that area unless I checked in with them,
Yeah, right, exactly. Because they've shown it to you and you're like, I'm not going to
it's just not my zone.
Walk in there. That's not my place.
It's not my zone, so.
Yeah. You kind of talked earlier about it's hard to be a man, right? Like it's hard. There's loneliness in it. It's interesting because it was kind of I don't know how this even happened with my wife, but I think it was like we were watching one of her shows or a show or something. And in the show, the guy had lost his job and the wife was contributing and he was having a really hard time with it. And she's like, I don't understand why guys have a hard time with it. And I said, it's built into us that we're providers. Like, I don't have a hard time with, my wife's extremely strong. She's worked almost her entire, and she's super capable and is an amazing earner. But I said, if I were sitting at home and you were the one providing, I said, I would really struggle with that, because it's built into men. And that's just not something that, like, I had to explain that to her. Right. And kind of that goes back to you saying, guys, it can be lonely to be a guy. So you've learned a lot through life experience. You're very self-aware. Like, what is something that you feel like is a really important part of being a man that you wish more men in our culture understood?
Well, to just save them the headache, I guess, of realizing that, one, women and men are extremely different.
Really?
And taking, yeah, exactly. Right.
I know.
And understanding that. But this doesn't just go the relationship between you and your wife or girlfriend, whatever it is, or, any other girl. It comes with relationships in general.
Right.
Is, I wish I was better at communicating. And I wish I was better at listening and not being defensive over it, and just, okay. And digging deeper into why the person feels that way, because it's not always what it seems. Somebody might be irritated at you over something, but if you dig deeper and you ask questions, that's not what they're irritated about. It's much deeper than that. And you can get down to what the root of the problem is. And you can't do that unless you get yourself out of the way. So I wish, that's something that I've learned the hard way, and I'm still learning. And I wish I knew when I was younger. So I wish somebody pulled me aside and was like, hey, I want to give you this therapy, or I want to give you these lessons. When somebody's talking to you about these things, listen. That they're telling you how they feel. And it's not what it seems, because maybe they're emotional about it when they first start getting at it. But when you dig deeper and you ask the right questions, you actually get down to what they really feel and why they feel that way. And it may come from a way they were raised, or maybe a scenario that happened in the past. And you need to understand that. And it's very easy for us to get defensive as men.
That's what I was going to ask you. How do you get to the point where you're not defensive anymore and you're actually willing to dig deeper and ask the question?
Well, I think it's like, hey, is this person on my team or not? Yes, they are. They're in my life. Because it's easy if you just don't care about the person. It's like,
whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care who this person is. I don't care what they think of me, and I don't care how they feel. But if you do care, and you're going to have to be around this person, or there's, a business relationship there, or marriage, I think it's important to find out why you're defensive over certain things, because of maybe how you're raised. Here's an easy example: is that my family is in construction, and they're very critical. And anytime I work on construction stuff, like home building, I feel like somebody's going to come in and tell me that I did it wrong.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So that was all my life, was like, why'd you do it like that? So I can go and weld up a metal fabricate, build a roll cage. None of my family knew how to do that. They're not going to judge me on it. And I like working with metal. And I like working with metal more than I like working with wood, because guess what? I never had that feeling where someone was going to come in and ask me, why'd you weld it like that? Because they didn't know how to weld. If I put in baseboards a certain way, paint something a certain way, frame up something a certain way, I'm going to get, why'd you do it like that? You did it wrong. You should have did it like this.
Yeah. So
when someone starts questioning me about certain things, I get defensive over it because of my past. And nobody would ever know that unless I took the time to dig into why I feel that way. And I think that's the biggest thing is like I've learned in my life, and I think men need to do that, is like dig into what your triggers are, right? And why you get defensive, and work on those, and understand them. Because nobody's coming in. Well, I don't know, maybe my dad will walk in and still criticize me or my cousins, which really I've gotten to the point where I just don't care as much. But yeah, there's things where I'll get defensive over something, and it's like, this is on me for feeling this way. And a lot of times that's the case, right? Like we were talking earlier, people not seeing your value, and or something you bring to the table. Sometimes I look at that and I put a lot of pressure on myself of like, okay, what did I do wrong? Like even though I can feel
that resonates with me,
I can feel slighted from other people, I can always sit back and be like, what's my responsibility here? And is it my fault that I feel this way? Because really, that's all that really I need to work on. I can't change how you are going to go about living your life. And I'm not going to, it's going to waste all the time in the world for me to tell you, like, even though close friends, I would, because I know I still have to have this relationship with them, but I'm not going to try to work on someone else when I know I have work that I could do for myself and take that responsibility. And that's something I've had to learn the hard way. And I've, wasted a lot of my life feeling certain ways that I probably shouldn't have felt, or I should have been more self-aware of why I felt those ways.
Yeah, that's a good answer. That's something I've been really trying to work on the last few years, is being more self-aware of, okay, why do I feel this way? What role did I play in that situation? Trying to be less upset with somebody else and more reflective of, what did I do? Or is this even a feeling that I should be having?
Right.
Is it maybe that person didn't do anything, I didn't do anything. Maybe I just feel a certain way because I process stuff the wrong way sometimes.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you're married.
Yeah.
And like a lot of this stuff has come from those relationships that I have, either with my wife or daughter or family, my mom and dad, because I've done business stuff, like with them or worked for them, or my cousins, growing up with cousins and family. And so like you learn a lot, but you have to be self-aware of what, like you said, be self-aware, and you need to take responsibility for your actions, because it's usually, if you look deeper into it, it's too easy to blame someone else for something that you might be responsible for.
So you brought up your family, right? Once your daughter's grown and she's married and raising her own kids, what do you think she'll say, look back and say, this is one of the things, this is what my dad valued the most. This is one of the most important things he taught me when he was raising me?
Yeah, probably just hard work and not be afraid to chase your dreams, right? Because that's like where I'm out chasing my dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And I could easily be doing a job that would not be chasing my dreams. And it's hard because you don't want to be this 40-year-old dad who's out chasing his dreams, like, what the hell am I doing, dude? I'm an influencer, and that's the lamest, label anybody could ever put on me. But I do more than that. But right, like when you're chasing your dreams, I want her to know that she can go do the same. So if she wants to go run in the Olympics, that's not a silly dream to chase.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. There's this modern era that we live in. You can make money doing whatever you want, honestly. But it's gotta come from the right place, because like if you're not passionate about it, or if it's not really changing the world, it's like, take for instance what we do. I don't change the world, but maybe because people view me as this good bow hunter, then all of a sudden they hear me on this podcast and they're like, I want to raise my child like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly do believe I'm on the right track for some of these things, and how I treat people and the relationships I'm in. And taking self-awareness on my own actions, those are going to make this world better. So I know that like certain things that I preach here today will make the world a better place. And I know that I fail at a lot of these things. I'm not perfect. So I'm not preaching from a place of like holiness of look at me, I'm so cool, I can do these things.
No, the best advice comes from those of us who are willing to admit our failures, right, and recognize that there's meaning in those, and that people can learn from them.
Yeah. So that's where I see it as like, cool, we can make this world a better place, because ultimately that's what we want. We want this world to be a better place, especially since we have kids and grandkids.
Yeah. So that kind of leads into my, honestly, like kind of the last question was, if you strip away, you know, all your achievements, all the stuff you do, all the experiences you have, what is a meaningful life?
Yeah. So goes back to what we're talking about, success, because the way my brain works is I really don't care about the things that I've done in the past. You know, like I'll go shoot a big animal and I quickly realize that my life is not any different. Nobody gives a crap.
Yeah.
I've won off-road racing championships, and looking back on it, it was amazing, but nobody cares.
Yeah.
So it's easy for me to erase like some of the things that I've done. And so for me, having a successful life, it goes back to what we're talking about. Success, you know, is just having those people around me. Because if I'm alone, I fail. So
it's a good way to put it.
It's like human nature, right? Like we want to be around people.
Yeah.
We want to feel loved. We want to feel valued. So, selfishly, that's what I want. I want to feel loved and valued. And then to flip that, I need to make sure that I do the same for other people.
That's a great answer. I mean, I haven't had a whole lot of people talk about feeling valued before. I hear a lot of people talk about being loved, but I think especially as men, being valued is really important to us. Like feeling like we make a difference, feeling like we are impacting people in a positive way and that we're bringing something of value to their life. I think that really resonates, and that's a great, you know, reflective and introspective process.
Yeah.
I appreciate you jumping on today, man. It's been great.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming over.
My pleasure.
The Boar Man.
Yeah.
You got a ton of stuff out there, but where do people find you? Like Instagram, YouTube, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Mainly on Instagram, just Danny Bolton. So DANNY BOLTON. And it kind of shows up as Boar Man as well. But if you just type in Danny Bolton, it's on Instagram there. Not really a ton on Facebook, or don't have a TikTok. And then I have a YouTube.
Yeah.
So YouTube is Boarman TV. And that's fun because it has like some of the longer form stuff. It has that Catalina hunt. It has a few things that we've done on there.
Where's your Meat Eater stuff? Is that just on Meat Eater?
Yeah. Okay. So Meat Eater on their YouTube channel has, I think, 2 or 3 episodes that I've been on with them. And then I think the ones that are on Netflix are still on Netflix. And I don't think they've...
what did you have on Netflix?
There's an episode where we went go hunting. And then we did fishing for wahoo or ono.
Is this with Meat Eater? Or is this with?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So they're Meat Eater episodes on Netflix. Oh, okay.
So there's one on there, and then there's some on YouTube and on their website, and then I think they're like licensed it to Amazon Prime and stuff now too. And then, so those are just fun hunts that I've got to know those guys, which are amazing people, and again, like a good representation of what a hunter could be.
And then you do event stuff with some of your sponsors too, right? Like a lot of, I know you're going to the Dallas Safari Show this weekend with Sorinex and doing stuff like that. So is there any place that if you're doing an event somewhere that, like, do you put that on your website, or you put that somewhere that so people know if you're going to be somewhere?
Nah, I don't want people to know where I'm at. So if you see me, come see me, but you don't need to know where I'm going to be.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here, brother. It's awesome. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, of course.